Hey everybody, welcome back to Game Time with John Eads. Super happy to be with you. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to hang out with us here. Be sure to like and subscribe. Fall camp's coming up for LSU football. The Saints just began training camp, so it's that time of the year where we're really getting close to week one and kickoff, and for whatever reason, these couple weeks before the season just fly by. So right now it's question season, if you will. You're sitting there daydreaming, you're thinking about what could happen this year, what are the possibilities, maybe even what can this guy do, what can that guy do, and imagining some plays in your head about what you'll see this fall over in Tiger Stadium. Right now we're attacking some of these questions you might have yourself, so let me know if you've wondered about these things or what other things you might be wondering about in the comment section. What is the deal with LSU's wide receivers this season? Every year, the Tigers have some really good quality depth and talent in that wide receiver room, and somehow, some way, it's almost like when the Tigers were known as DBU, they're trying to bring that back right now. It was kind of just wash, rinse, repeat. New names, new players every year stepping up for LSU. It was kind of just a system, and you're hoping that the same will carry out this season for LSU. Of course, last year you had Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. in that wide receiver room, not to mention Jaden Daniels back at quarterback. So coming into the season, you kind of knew that the passing game would be fluent. They showed flashes of that in 2022, not really consistently, and that was the problem. Guys like Kayshon Boutte didn't step up, but last year was Malik Neighbors' time. He waited his turn to be the wide receiver one, to be the premier guy in LSU's offense. He took that and ran. Now, I do remember at this time last year standing right here, not exactly with the same setup and stuff, but looking at you, talking to you about Brian Thomas Jr., what he could do in his third season with the Tigers. Could he break out? Would he have another kind of year and need his senior season to be the year that he put everything together? Well, that wasn't the case. He went from 400 receiving yards to over 1,000, and right now he's in Jacksonville getting ready for his first season with the Jaguars after being a first-round pick. So who could be the guy that does that this year? Because this season, I would argue, you don't have a Malik Neighbors. You don't have a guy that you know game one, week one, can put up triple-digit receiving yards and be someone that consistently gets open. Right now, your wide receiver one is Kyren Lacy, a guy that is in a similar position to what Brian Thomas was last offseason. And matter of fact, we did segments on Kyren Lacy. What could he provide to LSU's receiving room last year? He had a pretty good season, but the thing about Kyren Lacy is that he's never had that big 1,000-yard or close to 1,000-yard season where he's been the feature piece of the offense. And it wasn't even that case in the bowl game, because think back to the ReliaQuest Bowl when Garrett Nussmeier started. Malik Neighbors played a little bit. He wanted to get LSU's career receiving yards record. He did that. And then Brian Thomas Jr. played that entire bowl game to boost his draft stock. So Kyren Lacy really has not been in a game, at least at LSU, I can't account for his time at Louisiana Lafayette, where he was the go-to guy. He had to get open for this team to move the ball through the air. That's the situation this year. Neighbors is gone. Thomas is gone. Other guys have transferred out. So who are you looking for to be the first guy leading the drills at practice with the receivers? Kyren Lacy. And having gone to practice all spring, he was doing that. Any kind of drills that Cortez Hankton was running the guys through, he was leading the way. And when you're the wide receiver one, you've got to do wide receiver one things. Make catches that maybe you're not supposed to make. Get open against double teams. When your team needs a play, make a play. And we saw actually a little bit of 11-on-11 live scrimmage, ones against ones, offense and defense in the spring at one practice. It was a gift from Brian Kelly. I didn't really know he did that kind of thing, but that was nice. And Lacy made some very wide receiver one-esque spectacular catches. One that sticks in my head was Nussmeier threw a fly down the sideline. One-on-one, I think it was P.J. Woodland, a freshman corner, and Lacy. He caught it, somehow got his foot down. We have video evidence of the foot getting down, and that was like a 40-yard gain on a ball that was very difficult to catch. Probably wouldn't have been a catch in the NFL ranks, because you need the 2 feet to be in bounds for that to count. But the point is, that's a catch that you need your stars to make. And he made that catch, and he made several other catches during spring practice. You could see him on social media a little bit. So the point is, I think Kyren Lacy is ready to be that guy. LSU needs him to be that guy. He saw it matriculate right before his eyes last year. Brian Thomas was in his position last year. He'd been a pretty good player here, put up some stats like 400 receiving yards, kind of like a wide receiver 3-4 kind of thing. But then, boom, one season, he absolutely takes off. And where's Brian now? in the NFL. Kyren saw that. Now it's his turn to do that exact same thing and take advantage of this opportunity to crescendo his college career and leap off and leapfrog into the pros on a high note. Now, who else does LSU have in the receiver room real quick? A bunch of guys that have shown up in spots, haven't really found their footing yet at LSU. I'm thinking about Chris Hilton. I'm thinking about Aaron Anderson and guys like Kyle Parker, Shelton Sampson, just a couple different guys that you saw warming up last year but didn't play a whole lot, got limited opportunities, didn't do a ton with those opportunities. Now it's their time to step up and elevate. And guys like Chris Hilton excite me because he had chances to make plays last year. One that sticks in my head is the Ole Miss game. Very early, I think it was the first drive. Deep ball down the seam. He was wide open. I have pictures of this. If he catches it, it's either a big gain or he may have even scored if he stayed on his feet, but it went right through his hands and was incomplete. Now, I don't say that to get on the kid because he's a local guy, played at Zachary, comes from a very nice family. What I'm trying to say, though, is that he had chances to make plays last year. He's going to have more chances to make those plays this year, and he has to make said plays. You also add in some transfers like C.J. Daniels, a 1,000-yard receiver from Liberty, a guy that's proven he can produce at the college level and, was in the mix in the spring, and that's all you need to do because that is kind of his onboarding process to LSU. Like, transfers come in, they got to show the coaches what they can do. They got to prove that they can show up on time. And, that's a big jump going from Liberty to now an SEC team in LSU. Prove that you could play at this level. So I think as the season goes along, he'll get better. He'll get more opportunities. And then you got a guy like Xavier Thomas, who's, I believe, a New Orleans kid. Played at Mississippi State, was a freshman All-American as a specialist. He's got big play dynamics in his skill set. Now he's got to show that at LSU and not just in that special teams role, but as a receiver. So as far as the passing game goes, I believe in Nussmeier. The bowl game was enough for me. Almost 400 passing yards, 31 of 45. That's a very high completion percentage, probably, about 75% or so, and a couple touchdown passes. I think he is going to be just fine, but he needs the weapons and the guys around him to step up and complement that run game. A lot of good, intriguing options, but Lacy's got to step up. Guys like Hilton, Anderson, Sampson, and these transfers, Daniels and Thomas, need to find their niche as well. You're certainly going to need a second guy to elevate his game as well alongside Lacy because there were times last year when Neighbors was getting doubled, he was getting locked down, same thing with Thomas, and guys like Lacy, last year, the wide receiver 3, had to step up and make plays for LSU to win. I'm thinking about the Auburn game, even the Alabama game to a certain extent. So that's the charge this season for LSU. A lot of new guys, but for whatever reason, Joe Sloan and Cortez Hankton have found a way and found a recipe in recent years to push guys out to the league, bring the next crop in, and do the same thing, and just keep it going. And that's what they'll need to do this season, starting with the season opener out in Las Vegas against USC.